Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Why don't you think about this a little bit this morning? Liberals must be Latinophobes. Have you ever noticed liberals say they're moving to Canada if Trump gets elected? Why don't they move to Mexico? Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a real live patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell. And, of course, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Big fall tire sale going on right now. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. Without any more, we're going to move right to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, you're on the air.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Dal, just between you and me, and this is a secret, don't tell your wife, we got her good the other day at Lunch Bunch, didn't we?
She's sitting right here listening.
Okay, buddy. God bless you both. Thanks. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
All right. No, I love those people. Thank you. Yeah, Helen and her squirt gun. I turned around, and there was a squirt gun somehow it found its way to the table and place where I was sitting. And less than 10 feet away to my right, Helen was there, and zit, zit, zit. I got her. I loved it. Anyway, it's time for the weather, and the weather's brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for that blue door. And don't forget, if you need new carpet, come on into Cheney's, and they will give you a free pad with the carpet. Sale on tile, too, starting at just 50 cents per foot. Whoa! You'd better get in there, whatever you need to make your house a home. At Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Clouds are going to be sticking around, but it is going to be getting warmer, which will be nice. Looks like cloudy skies for today. Slight chance of rain showers off and on. Expect a high of 62, tonight low of 41. For Wednesday and Thursday, partly cloudy skies, warming up to about 70, which is going to be really nice. Lows are going to be in the mid-40s for Friday. Rain showers are in the forecast. About a 70% chance. Wind's going to be picking up for Friday as well. High of 59 with an overnight low of 42. Then as we get on into the weekend, looks like sunny and mid-60s. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I love it. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. Brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for that blue door. Hey, don't forget Thursday is sale day at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Merv May, Cade Rogge, Lance Udy, all of those folks and the crew, the sale that works for you. Sale time will be, I think, about 10:30 on Thursday morning. Don't forget, for information on cattle consignments and the sale in particular, call 678-9411. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, with the sale on Thursday. Don't you miss it. We have got an excellent program this morning. Frosty Woldridge is going to be on here from Golden, Colorado, talking about the absolute idiocy of accepting Hillary's policies. I can't, I won't. I'll talk about that in a minute. Marita Noon is going to be on about the absolute cancers on the landscape, wind turbines. I'd like to see every one of them tip over. And then Dr. History's on the program, and then we have the Rock Creek Fire Department. So we've got a full plate here this morning. Don't forget our friends at Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Kevin and Cindy, the whole crew. You know, dry cleaning really prolongs the life of your clothing, and dry cleaning solvents actually dissolve body oils and other grime that water can't penetrate. So take your clothes into Darrow's Cleaners for the very best of dry cleaning at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And the number to call if you have to, 878-8900. Darrow's Cleaners, serving you. By the way, too, I want to tell you about SafeLink Internet. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. These are really good folks, and I urge you to get a hold of them today at 677-8000. Fast, yes. Reliable, yes, yes. And local, they've got over 10,000 customers locally. And always improving, always expanding with great tech support, etc. at SafeLink Internet. You give them a call at 677-8000. Tell them Zeb sent you and get on the program today. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Tonight is a big night for me. I'm not going to hedge around it. I'm just going to tell you, I never thought in my lifetime that the Cubs would go to the World Series. I have been a diehard fan. Now, some of you out there are saying, oh, sports. Well, I know, but this is special to me. The Cubs, I never thought would have a team that would maybe get past the playoffs and then maybe make it to the World Series. But earlier this spring, and I went back in some of the books on the programs and tapes, etc., I predicted they would go to the World Series. And boy, for the first time in my life, out of all the negative predictions, they are going, and they're playing the Cleveland Indians tonight in Game 1 in Cleveland. And all I can say is go, Cubs, go. Yes, sirree, Bob. Caller, stand by. I'll be right with you. Don't forget, don't let activist courts take away our legislature's authority to approve or reject agency rules. Vote yes on HJR 5. And prevent state agencies from implementing overreaching and burdensome rules that negatively impact your life and leisure. Vote yes on HJR 5. Paid for by Speaker of the House Scott Bedke, Representative Fred Wood, and Senator Kelly Anthon. Real quick, I also want to remind you about Jack Johnson. He's running for Twin Falls County Commissioner, District 3, very responsive to your needs here in Twin Falls County, and he'll work to enhance mental health assistance for our veterans. He is a man that wants to work and help you. Don't forget Jack Johnson, running for Twin Falls County Commissioner, District 3, paid for by Jack Johnson for Commissioner, Darren Kyle, Treasurer. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your call.
Good morning, you little Cub lover.
Well, I am a Cub lover, I'll tell you.
Yes, and you're proud of it, and I've got a renewed interest in baseball. I haven't followed it for years, so I'm pulling for them, so you got at least one friend.
You know what I liked about the Cubs, Keith, and I got to tell you, this is very prejudicial on my part. But the other night, watching the playoffs, I stood there as the teams were standing for the national anthem on the baselines, and the camera was scanning down the line of the players, etc., and almost every player, to a player, they were singing along with the national anthem with their hands over their heart. Now, that might seem minuscule to some people, but it meant a lot to me, and that's what I like to see in athletics, especially on the pro level. They are being idols for our children and doing a good job.
Well, you might say it serves them right.
Yeah.
Because it evidently has.
Yeah, I agree. The
thing that I wanted to bring up this morning, Zeb, is Chris Wallace. I had no idea
that he was a registered Democrat because of his fairness in his reporting. Did you know that?
No, I don't pay attention to who's registered as a Democrat and who's not, or registered as a Republican. To me, and I'm going to step on some toes here, Keith, I vote for the person, I vote for their beliefs, I vote for what they can do for the community and the state and the nation. And quite frankly, I've been a Republican all my life. And after what the Republican Party has done in this election, I think it's going to be hard-pressed to get any support from me in the future. I'm probably going to be a person that has Zeb Bell, dash, with an I back of my name, independent.
Well, I think I am thinking down the same lines you are. But the point I wanted to make about Chris Wallace, regardless of what his ethnicity is or his beliefs or anything else, he does a fair job of reporting, and I admire him for that because I had no idea that he was a registered Democrat.
Oh, yeah. His dad, Mike Wallace, was a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, and he was born and raised in that kind of a family gathering, so it's no surprise to me whatsoever that this information comes out or is leaked out. It doesn't really make any sense that he wouldn't be a Democrat, but in regards to what your statement was, he has been very balanced, very fair, and I thought of all the moderators, even though I thought he had some holes in his screen door for not asking more questions on various topics, I thought he did the best job of anybody.
Well, I do too, and there's no question about it. But these other people, from CNN especially, they seem to revel in the thoughts of destroying Trump.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not right. That opinion is reserved for each of us individually.
Well, journalism...
to blurt it out to the world, because they're supposed to be fair in their reporting.
Yeah.
No journalism is involved there.
Well, journalism has taken a jump into the sewer as far as I'm concerned. Keith, I got to pay some bills. God bless you and your lovely wife. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
You do the same, and go Cubbies.
I love that. Thank you very much. Hey, don't forget Steve Hartkin running for State Representative Position B, District 24. And I'll tell you what, he's a strong Republican incumbent for re-election on November 8th to the Idaho House of Representatives. And this man knows all about the issues in the state of Idaho, and he has a high conservative rating on a wide range of issues. So don't forget, when you go to the polls on November 8th, Steve Hartkin, a man of conservative values for State Representative District 24B, paid for by Stephen Hartkin Campaign Committee. Thank you very, very much. Also, do not forget, I got a couple of flies in here that have taken up residence, and they're going to meet their demise during the newscast. Boy, the last couple of days, they've been on their last legs or last wings, and these two have caused me trouble since about 4:45 this morning. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, and the number to call if you want your order waiting for you right there on the counter, and they can do that. Like with the furnace filters, my goodness sakes, yes, the weather is going to take some nosedives. Be ready to warm yourself up and feel just really vibrant and warm thanks to your furnace filters from Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. And don't forget, too, our friends at Denny's Restaurant. Oh, man, they are the nicest people. And I know I want to say this again, that all the help over there, all the waitresses, everyone got together and not once but twice sent me good get well cards and everything while I was down and out, and along with all you other folks that sent me cards. That meant so much. Thank you so much. But you know, the service is fantastic. The food is delicious. Oh my goodness, breakfast, lunch, anytime, great at America's Diner, 611 Overland in Burley, and also 291 Pole Line in Twin Falls, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, Denny's Restaurant in Burley. All right, your calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I am not going to back up on this, and I've taken some heat, but that's okay. At 9:06 this morning, Frosty Woldridge and I are going to talk about the same thing that I brought up yesterday, and I'm going to stand behind my statements in regards to the list of things that I believe are going to happen with a Hillary Clinton presidency. And I told you that I would never support her presidency. Now, some people took offense at that. Some people said, well, you're just a sore loser. Yes, I am. When I look at my Christian philosophy and my belief in Christianity, and I look at the way I want to be treated by others and the way I should treat them, and the way the world is going to not have a respect for life either at the beginning or at the end, and when I look at the money that absolutely is pushing us down into a toilet of being so far in debt we will never climb over the edge, and all of those things with the Hillary Clinton presidency and the illegalities of what's going on, the mismanagement of funding, the lies, the innuendos, and everything else, no. Let me repeat again to those that want to take aim at me verbally, I will never support Hillary Clinton's presidency if she wins. I cannot follow her goals. I cannot follow her leftist ideals, and it would be totally against my principles. And I do not understand all the articles in various newspapers, magazines, liberal television saying when Hillary is president, and you've heard this, all of the right, all of the conservatives, all of the Trump supporters should acknowledge defeat and accept and embrace the left's politics. You know, I've been in sports all my life. And we're taught to be good sportsmen. And we're taught to, at the end of the game, if we lose, go shake the hand of our opponent. I wrote this in my blog last week, or a semblance of what I'm talking about today. I will shake your hand, but I'll guarantee you I'm plotting in my head how to come back the next time and defeat you. I cannot accept what the left wants to push upon us. Whether it's, like I said, the abortion issues or more taxation and a lack of energy and extremely higher prices, more of the same with Obamacare, just absolutely hurting people. I can't do that. And so I guess what I'm saying is, after the first of the year, when and if, again, put the if word there, she does win the presidency, and I certainly hope she doesn't, I am not going to be able to adhere with any respect to her policies. I can't do that. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Jim Patrick running for state senate seat, re-election, District 25, and he says, hey, I appreciate everybody's support in the past, and I'm looking forward to your help again on November 8th. He's a 40-year farmer and a 20-year bank director, and he's been on many, many committees. And by the way, too, he thinks it's very important that we all vote yes on HJR 5 so we can continue rule changes affecting commerce as well as education and agriculture. Don't forget, Jim Patrick running for re-election, State Senator, District 25, paid for by Jim Patrick. Calls are welcome and appreciated, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, and also Charlie Howell, Jerome County Commissioner, District 2, wants your vote to go back into that position for Jerome County Commissioner, District 2, and he was one of the people that really spearheaded the jail project over in Jerome County, and he's a man that listens to every side of the discussion and follows the rules. But I'll tell you what, he believes and demonstrates in team play play, but always leads the way with independent thinking. Charlie Howell, running for re-election for Jerome County Commissioner, District 2, Brenda Haddam, Treasurer. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, in the paper USA Today yesterday, they had a headline that says, after a divisive election, how to heal the nation. There again, it's just this kind of a coercive attitude to where, oh, well, you lost, now you got to accept our policies. I can't. I just will never do that. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, just a comment on Mike Crapo. Now he's going to vote for Trump. That was on the front page of the Times News.
Yep.
Several members of my family wrote a letter to him, and I understand that the people in eastern Idaho weren't happy with him, so I don't know why he changed his mind, but I'm glad he did.
You know, let me say something about politicians in general, and I'm encompassing Simpson, Crapo, and the rest of them into this little statement, ma'am. As you probably know if you listen to this program, over the last year or so, I have been very diligent in trying to get Mike Crapo on the program. And all of a sudden, about 2 weeks ago, when I criticized Mike basically turning his back on Trump and the Republicans kind of just saying, oh, poo-poo to Trump and we got to protect ourselves and protect our own seats in the Senate or Congress, I criticized him for that. Isn't it interesting that I haven't had him on the air since?
Yeah, well, I said he did a disservice to his party and to the people who vote, support him. So, anyway, that's just what I wanted to say. I'm glad he changed his mind, but I think it took letters and phone calls to do it.
Absolutely. See the power of the people, and you are powerful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
God bless you. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental with 3 locations, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. They have the equipment to get the job done right. 0% interest on 48 months if you buy any rental Bobcat equipment used. Oh my, 0% interest, 48 months? Are you kidding me? Wow, what a deal. They've got all the equipment rentals. They've got all the retail equipment sales at Barry Equipment and Rental. Once again, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and they also have a big repair shop area at the 159 West Highway 30 location. Barry Equipment and Rental, absolutely the best. Yeah. I got to tell you that yesterday I was at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, had another session in the pool, and oh man, that is the greatest thing, that hydrotherapy pool with the treadmill in the bottom. You talk about helping me. Muscles I didn't have in my old beat-up legs are starting to come alive again, and I just absolutely swear by these people. The best. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call, 678-1191. They are helping you get back to being you. Wonderful people, and they know their business. All the exercises, everything at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 678-1191. You call them today. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, you kind of are leaving me out to dry there a little bit because I want to know your attitude. If you are a free thinker to the point where you don't like where this world is going, you don't like the Democratic platform, you don't like what they stand for, how can you look yourself in the mirror on November 9th, and if Hillary wins the presidency, how can you accept those policies that you, maybe your church, maybe your school, whatever background, you can't adhere to? How can you accept it then? I can't embrace those policies because, in simple terminology, I honestly believe this country, and I'm going to use this word, don't be offended, I believe we're going to hell in a handbasket. And we need some radical change. Now, it is interesting, and I'll say this, that Donald Trump had a rally in Florida yesterday, and they didn't know how they were going to shoehorn all the people in. They were over 25,000 people. 25,000. Now, conversely, Tim Kaine had a rally for Hillary, who was resting, and they had a grand total of 30. I'm not making this up, folks. 30. Caller, I'm going to ask you to wait just a second. I'll be right there with you. Have patience, please. I want to remind everybody about Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. And they're right across from the Minidoka Hospital emergency room. And believe me, she has the brain hearing technology that enables your hearing device to be minutely tuned to match your unique hearing profile. They know all about hearing. This lady is a genius. Dr. Christine Pickup at Mount Harrison Audiology. Please call today for an appointment, 312-0957. Call today, Mount Harrison Audiology. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing this morning?
I am fantastic. What can I do for you?
Okay, what I wanted to do was just bring out, remember what has been going on. Remind the people what's been going on under the Obama plan. We've gone to the slaughterhouse, more or less, I guess you could say. The United States of America is just, it's really dropping, and we've got to put a stop to it and get it back where it used to be. And by voting Hillary Clinton in there, you're not going to get it.
I couldn't agree more.
She's been backing Obama from day one.
Yeah.
I like my guns. I think, hey, I use them for hunting and protection. If it ever comes to that, I will use them for protection. And I don't know, it makes me so upset to think that people can't see what's coming down, especially after this deal with our service people in California, asking to repay what they was give. That's so disgusting. It just, I don't know.
You know, sir, let me ask you a question. And I don't mean to be rude. Don't give me your name, but just tell me this. How old are you?
I am 73.
All right.
My name is Clarence Platt.
All right.
I'm proud of being an American.
Clarence, let me ask you this. At 73 years of age, I'm going to ask you a favor. I'm going to ask you to go talk to all the younger generation you can, maybe the 20 to 25 to maybe 30-year-olds, and tell them how America used to be, how great it was with the incentives and the goals and the drive for people to go out and work hard and accomplish a worthwhile lifestyle. Tell the younger people how it's being diminished by the liberal thought and people like Hillary Clinton. You've got 2 weeks to help these people understand the truth, Clarence. Get to work.
Well, I hope they do. I mess with kids from kindergarten to 5th grade every day. I am a school bus driver. I'm still working. 73 years old, but I'm still working.
Well, let me tell you.
A good friend of mine, Bill, he's also doing the same thing. And I don't know, he's up in his 70s, and we're still working, trying to make ends meet.
Well, God bless you.
I don't know. This Obamacare is a very, very big joke, and I call this I'm trying to think of the name of it now. The insurance that us older people get on.
Medicare.
Paid for.
Yeah, Medicare.
Our working days.
Yeah.
That was shoved down our throats. This Medicare, I call it Medi-joke. That was shoved down our throats. We never had a decision whether we wanted it or not. It was just there. It come out of our check every payday, and it's still coming out of our checks. And it what really makes me upset about it is that the way it pays, a lot of these doctors will not accept it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's right. Clarence, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your call, and I want to give you a compliment over something else. You must have the patience of Job if you're a school bus driver. I salute you, sir.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
All right. God bless you, sir. Thank you for your call. Thank you so much.
You betcha.
There's a very nice man right there. Yep, talk to the younger generation. They've got to understand what this country has been and how we need to get back to it. Caller number 2, I'll be right there, I promise. Don't forget, Roger Morley, Jerome County Commissioner, District 3, wants your vote. He wants to serve again a term as Jerome County Commissioner for District 3. He's also been on the Jerome County Planning and Zoning Commission and has served 2 terms as an Idaho Senate lobbyist. Please don't forget, when you go to the polls November 8th, vote for Roger Morley, Jerome County Commissioner, District 3, paid for by the Commission to elect Roger Morley, Lorraine Morley Treasurer. And also Jack Nelson. Hello, Jack is running for CSI Zone 3 trustee. He wants to get on the board. He wants to help at CSI. A member of the Jerome County Planning and Zoning, a member of the Mid-State Water Commission, and he's a former CSI teacher back in the 80s, too, teaching music and choir. Will help Jack Nelson obtain his goal of being CSI Zone 3 trustee. Don't forget to vote for Jack Nelson for the trustee Zone 3 on November 8th, paid for by Jack Nelson. All right, caller number 2, you're on. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I want to talk about one of the benefits of Hillary's open border.
Yes.
Of course, the benefits are for the terrorists, and they are already bragging how easy it would be for them to get into Arizona and New Mexico and kill thousands of people and return across the border.
Yeah.
How's that for a benefit?
You know, Tony, when you go to the grocery store or go out with friends or have friends over to your house, what are you hearing there in Twin Falls? I mean, where you live? I mean, surely your neighborhood, your neighbors talk about politics and everything. Are you straightening these people out, or are they committed to being in a lifestyle where the government rules and controls everything with Hillary? What are you hearing?
Well, the older generation hears what we hear. We're on our way down. Now, I talk to people, young people down at the mall when I go down there and waiting for Mary to do her shopping, and these kids are dead between the ears. The only thing that you see them down there, and they've got these iPods, and they've got all these other phones, and they're playing games, sitting around there, and they don't have a clue about what the hell's going on.
Yeah, that's true. It's a crying shame, but I am going to be highly critical. I agree with you, Tony, and I'm very highly critical today of the way the kids are raised. And I'm going to say this, and a lot of people are going to get mad at me, but that's okay. I'm not in this to win a popularity contest. You'll look at rural kids that have got goals and attitudes of helping their mom and dad, helping the farm situation, helping the ranch situation, and they've got jobs to do, they got chores to do, and then you take your city kids and not all cases, but in many cases, they have to be led by the nose to go out and get some physical exercise, etc. We've got a generation of young people that absolutely are leaning to the left only because it's the easier way, and it's a gimme handout society.
Well, they want to live off taxpayers, but sooner or later the taxpayers are going to be broke, and we'll have a two-class society, and that's the people like the Clintons and the poor.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. Tony, God bless you and Mary. You're always welcome. Say hello to that lovely wife. Thank you so much.
I certainly will. Thank you.
All right. Take care. I've got a story here that's very concerning about Hillary Clinton, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. Hey, by the way, trunk or treat. Oh, I tell you what, Ark Animal Hospital with Dr. Bill and the whole crew, they're going to be over at the Rupert Square on Halloween evening from 6:30 to 9 for the trunk or treat right there on the square. Take your kids down there and enjoy. And there's going to be cars after cars after cars, trunk or treat. It's going to be great, and Ark Animal Hospital is a big part of it. It's 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. Great animal hospital where they always say they have warm hearts for cold noses. Trunk or treat, going to be a lot of fun. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There is an author that I've had on my program on numerous times. His name is Ed Klein. And Ed Klein does a lot of investigating and investigatory stories regarding what's going on with the current Obama White House administration and also now Hillary. Now, this story just came out this morning, and I'm looking at the story through the eyes of how it was reported with the interview they did with Ed Klein. Ed Klein has stated that his sources in the White House have said that Hillary visited the White House 2 weeks ago. During that visit, Hillary went into a coughing fit. The coughing was so bad that after about 5 or 6 minutes, they called the doctor that is in residence in the White House. Now, Hillary supposedly was in such bad shape that both Obama and Michelle made statements that she must be on some kind of high-powered meds to not allow the coughing to have disrupted her during the debates. Now, again, I'm not making this story up. This was all coming out this morning at about 7:15. And now there is discussion that she has been really loop-de-loop on a lot of high-powered meds to get through the debates without going into these 10, 15, 20-minute coughing fits. She doesn't sound like she's a very healthy lady. We know that she has had a lot of problems. We know that, according to reports, she has a bad heart valve. We know that a lot of the truth has been hidden from us because the only goal of the left is to push her into the presidential power. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, I'm going to be right there. I got to get a weather forecast on 60 seconds. You stay right there, cool your jets. I'll be right with you. Don't forget the weather brought to you this hour by Riverview Urgent Care, 382 North Overland in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin Falls, and Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Don't forget your flu shots. They've got them for you right there at the Urgent Cares. And go to their website, urgentcareofidaho.com, and learn out a lot more about these great folks. Minor emergencies, major care at the Urgent Cares. Here's Gina with the weather.
Clouds are going to be sticking around, but it is going to be getting warmer, which will be nice. Looks like cloudy skies for today. Slight chance of rain showers off and on. Expect a high of 62, tonight low of 41. For Wednesday and Thursday, partly cloudy skies, warming up to about 70, which is going to be really nice. Lows are going to be in the mid-40s for Friday. Rain showers are in the forecast. About a 70% chance. Wind's going to be picking up for Friday as well. High of 59 with an overnight low of 42. Then as we get on into the weekend, looks like sunny and mid-60s. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Appreciate it, Gina. Brought to everybody by the Urgent Cares, Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Zeb, I charge by the hour.
Okay, buddy. Send me a bill.
I will. Well, last bill I sent you never paid.
Yeah, I found it to be a little bit disruptive to my checkbook.
going through therapy.
Yeah, I know. Well, so would I be if I had the cat.
Anyway, I seen a quote this morning I just had to share with everybody. It says, "You are unstoppable if you believe in yourself."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just really struck me this morning. And that's going to be the American people. We need to believe in the Constitution and the way America was set up with God at the helm, and we would be unstoppable.
Absolutely. Doug, let me ask you a couple of questions real quick this morning before I have to go do another commercial break. But I made the statement yesterday, and I'm going to stand behind what I said. I took some criticism over it, but that's okay. I said that I can never support her presidency because I will not accept the goals and the leftist ideals that totally are against my principles. Do you agree with me or not?
I agree. The way I look at it is the Bible and God's rule is number one.
Yep.
And if man's rule tries to go against God's rule, I'll never support it.
Well, that's the whole thing. You've seen the attack on Christianity, which we know is not just a charlatan story. It's the truth. It's happening all across the United States. You heard about the assault on our free speech, like what I was talking about, a student at Iowa State University yesterday that was told to sign a document or they wouldn't give him his diploma. I cannot embrace that kind of politics.
I can't either. And everybody should stand up. Everybody needs to know the name of that school. Don't send your kids there. I mean, tell them how you feel with your pocketbook.
Yeah. But to say that, okay, you lost, now fall in lockstep and follow all of our principles, whether it's on abortion, partial birth abortion, whether it's on accepting ISIS and Muslims and refugees, I can't do that, Dougie.
I can't either. I really can't either. And like I've said many, many times, and you've also stated in your list, that in the end times, what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right, and I will never go along with what's wrong.
Absolutely. There has to be a line in the sand for every person, not just Zeb Bell, not just Doug Martin, but there has to be a line in the sand for every person that if you were raised in a home that believed in God and the principles of the Bible and being good to one another, you can't step across that line and accept less.
You can't. You really can't. That's our trial here. That's what, God gives us trials to see what kind of character we are.
Yeah.
And if we don't pass those trials, the outlook's not real good.
Well, and there's a lot of cases where when I made statements yesterday in regards to some of my predictions, which I said, I hope they don't come true, but I'll quite frankly stand behind that. I think Hillary will try to implement those if she's the president. Good heavens, help save us all. But all the way from fascism for the EPA, all the way down to carbon tax cards, all the way to regulating more regulations within our houses, all the way to churches being regulated. I'm going to stand behind those, and I will not roll over and join their parade.
I won't either. I'll stand right beside you, Zeb.
All right, buddy. Thanks for your call. Thank you. Caller number 2, I'll be right there. Don't go away. Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it is a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Oh, yes, you will. Call 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. Thank you, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. I'd like to reinforce the statement, every vote counts. And, when you think about it, Idaho is non-existent to a lot of people. They've never even heard of it.
Yeah.
But we do have so many electoral votes. What is it, 2 or 3? The thing that I want to point out is the fact that we do have a voice. It's very, very tiny, but we do have it. And when it comes down to the election as to whether we pick Hillary or Trump, it makes a big difference in the way each and every one of us vote. Because in the state of Idaho, if we're one vote short of being able to nominate the person we want, then we have not done our job. So every vote does count.
Well, Keith, I'm going to go to the polls. I urge everyone to go to the polls and exercise their patriotic duty. Thank you, Keith. God bless you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
One story I want to get to and finish this morning was I was talking about, and Doug and I were talking about this just a minute ago, about how to heal the nation after a divisive election, using the terminology of what the USA Today had on its headline yesterday in their paper. Well, I don't know why they did this, but on the back page of the first section of the USA Today yesterday, they went to people from other countries. Wait a minute, I'm serious. They went to people from other countries and asked them how we should heal ourselves after this election. Well, really, I don't care about somebody else's opinion in another country. And they asked this one woman, her name is Elif Shafak, and she's from Turkey. And she made this statement. See if you see the pothole in the road here. She said that because we live in a globalized world, the madness happening in one country has repercussions beyond the borders. That's why we need to promote cosmopolitanism. Oh, I see. We should go without our borders. We should not have allegiance to any country because cosmopolitanism believes in nothing national or local, but we're all a part of the global community. That's going to make it better. Wrong. I don't understand how a leftist newspaper, and the reason I subscribe to the USA Today to read it is quite frankly because I like to have them get my blood boiling mad. It is a very leftist newspaper. And I read it so that I can highlight some of their idiocy like this. But asking people in other countries what we need to do after our election, oh, well, we've got to be more cosmopolitan. We have to be more global. We have to reject anything local or national. The hell we do! The United States of America, the greatest nation on the face of the earth, they want dissolved into globalism. Oh, boy. Don't forget your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All the tires are on sale right now. I'm telling you, big fall tire sale. You don't want to miss this. And like for your passenger cars, they got their best passenger car tire like the Ultra Z900. All-season tread, 65 to 80,000 mile warranty depending on your driving conditions. Woo, that is a good tire. With the best tire value promise in the industry, whatever the road throws at you, from potholes to nails, any road hazard, their free guarantee protects you. Don't forget it. And the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this, but they are such nice people with the best in service. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. By the way, real quick story here. The FBI is in the middle of tumultuous activities and feelings over the so-called investigation about Hillary. Many of their field agents are so upset, slamming their fists down on their desk, and many agents on the investigatory team say that Hillary should have been indicted and she is guilty. And it has been stated by many people that the FBI morale in this country right now today is at its lowest point since the Watergate investigation back in the 70s. Oh, goody. Let's push it further over the cliff and have Hillary as president. Ay. We're going to have this good word right now for Senator Mike Crapo, and then Wheels will take us up to CBS News. I'll see you back in about 7 minutes. Don't go away. Wow. I got to tell you, The Flies, I think they're having their last hurrah today, and during the news, I was on a mission to get rid of the flies in this office, and I went to pick up the fly swatter, and 2 of them were on the fly swatter. Anyway, good morning, Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Way Services, don't forget they've got all the dumpsters in various sizes. Call them, let them know that you need a dumpster, and start cleaning out that basement, that office, like this one, or whatever, and by golly, then fill it up, they'll come and get it. They are locally owned and operated and serving you to get rid of your garbage. So don't forget, Western Way Services, and there's another fly that bit the dust, pardon me, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Thank you very much. Hey, we're going to have our dear guest in just a moment, Frosty Woolridge. What a great guy. He'll be here in just a moment. Stand by. Ramsey Heating and Electric can offer rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps. And by golly, you'll enjoy the comfort. Call them 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. Absolutely. By the way, November 8th, vote yes on HJR5. Your voice needs to be heard, and you should always be able to hold our state government accountable. Vote yes on HJR5. And don't forget, encourages better communication and cooperation within our branches of state government. Vote yes on HJR5, paid for by Speaker Scott Bedke, Representative Fred Wood, and Senator Kelly Anthon. Talking about politics, coming up on November 8th, don't forget to re-elect one of the good guys, and that's Lee Hyder for State Senator District 24. The best always stand the test, and he is one of the best. He is very diligent and serving you. And don't forget, vote November 8th for a man that's devoted to Idaho and you. And believe me, he's going to be on my program in the next couple days, and you'll be able to get a chance to hear him firsthand. Lee Hyder for State Senator District 24, paid for by Lee Hyder for Senate District 24. And last but not least, before we have to turn it over to our dear guest, I want to remind you also about Senator Jim Patrick. We're running for re-election for Republican District 25 Senate. 5th generation Magic Valley resident, 40 years in farming, 20 years as a bank director, has served on the Agricultural Education and Business Committees and also on the JFAC Committee, and knows the water issues as good or better than anyone. Don't forget, re-elect Jim Patrick for District 25 Senator, paid for by Patrick for Senator Treasurer Jim Patrick. Woo! All that being said, I get a chance right now to say good morning to my real buddy, my only buddy from Colorado. Good morning, Frosty Woolridge.
Mr. Cubs.
Yeah, hey!
And I am so pleased for you, Zeb, to see that the Cubs are in the World Series. Your long suffering has ended, and you're about to see the Cubs revival. I am excited for you and for the Cubs here in the World Series.
A strange thing happened the other evening when they clinched the National League pennant. I jumped out of my lazy boy. I was bounding around the room, and then all of a sudden reality hit me, and I remembered I'm on crutches, and I fell on my butt. Are you there?
I'm here. And the bounding around the room, that was pretty good.
Well, oh, Frosty, listen, let's kind of turn the emotional and enthusiasm button down a little bit, because I know you, and it was so interesting. that you had written, I think, one of your best pieces about Hillary, the White House, and what we're going to have to accept if she becomes president. Now, let me preface my remarks here a little bit this morning, and I want to see if you agree with me. I said on yesterday's program, before I even read your remarks, that if Hillary becomes president, we are going to see some drastic changes in our society. I believe, these are my predictions, we're going to have many, many regulations put on our homes. I believe that it's going to be illegal to talk about gays and transgenders, etc. I believe our churches are going to be regulated and taxed. I believe that we're going to see a single-payer health care system that's going to be absolutely horrendous as opposed to what Obamacare already is. I believe we're going to see the use of federal lands, public lands shut down. I think the EPA is going to turn into a fascist society and absolutely control all of our lives. I think it's going to be a credit card society. She's going to try to stop cash. I think the Muslims by 2020 will have such severe influences over us, Christians will be in hiding. And I've got more that I could talk about. But do you agree with some of the categories that I've listed this morning?
Well, there is no question that we are going to see drastic changes with Hillary Clinton in office. And the American people have no clue as to the avalanche of Muslim immigration into this country. Just this week, we now have 296 more cases of tuberculosis roaming around Minneapolis, Minnesota, which I just visited a week ago. And so we are going to see not only the 8 years of Obama, but then we're going to see the avalanche of even more and greater Obama consequences across the country if Hillary gets to the White House.
Well, listen, Frosty, I always I treat you like you're one of my best friends, but I also really I like your thinking. I like your thought process. I said this earlier this morning. I can never support her presidency because to follow her goals and leftist ideals would be totally against my principles, and I can't do that. You can call me a sore loser or whatever you want to, but I cannot follow her principles.
Well, and that's the great crisis we're all facing, and I hope everyone gets a chance to read the piece that I wrote. If Hillary Clinton reaches the White House, you get this future. And not only will you get this future, but your community will get this future. Your tax dollars will get this future. Your state will get this future. And the future is going to be this. Muslim Syrian refugees are coming into this country at a breakneck speed. She promises 110,000 Syrian Muslim refugees just in 2017 alone. If you start multiplying that, you can be guaranteed that by the time another 4 years goes by, we're going to have 500,000 Muslims in this country on top of the 3.3 million Muslims we have already. And places like Hamtramck and Dearbornistan, which I just traveled through a week ago, are going to be pressing at every community's city council, and they're going to thrust Sharia law onto you. But not only that, Zeb, we're going to see more of the 9/11 in whatever degrees. We're going to see the Boston Marathon Massacre. We're going to see the Orlando Massacre. We're going to see the San Bernardino Massacre, the Fort Hood Massacre, the Chattanooga, Tennessee shootings, the St. Cloud, Washington State stabbings. Those are coming if she gets in. And somewhere between 20 and 30 million illegal aliens are going to have a mandate for amnesty, and we're going to have them all tapping into the Social Security. They're going to tap into the food stamp programs. They're going to tap into the medical programs of America. And again, as I've said in the past, all of these illegal aliens and or legal immigrants are sending $80 billion, B as in boy, $1 billion a year back to their home countries. In other words, we're being bled, and at the same time, as you all know, Barack Obama jumped the federal national debt from $13 trillion when he got in 8 years ago to $19.5 trillion today. At some point, we will be absolutely so bankrupt that we will not be able to function as a civilization or a country.
Absolutely. Frosty, hang tough. I got to do one commercial break. I'll be right with you. Don't forget Representative Scott Bedke, Speaker of the House representing District 27A. Scott Bedke wants you to go vote on November 8th, and he urges you to use your patriotic duty and help stand up for America and let your voice be heard. And he also wants you to vote yes on HJR 5 and bring your picture ID when you go to the polls. Scott Bedke, State Representative, District 27, Position A, paid for by Representative Scott Bedke of Oakley. Thank you very much. Also, real quick, I want to remind you, Rick Martin is running for, of course, CSI trustee, and that is Zone 2. On Tuesday, November 8th, voters from Jerome and Twin Falls County will have a conservative voice for the CSI Board of Trustees. Rick is a graduate of Twin Falls High School and a graduate of the U.S. Air Force Police Academy, and he wants to work with everybody to make CSI more community and user-friendly. Vote for Rick Martin, CSI Trustee, District 2, paid for by Rick Martin for CSI Trustee. Frosty, I got to tell you that you've played a lot of sports, played for Michigan State, and it was good sportsmanship to go after the game and shake hands with the winners if you were the loser. But there I draw the line, my friend. I will congratulate the winners, but I cannot go along with their policies. I cannot accept Hillary's policies if she wins on abortion. I can't accept her policies on refugees. I can't accept her policies on higher taxes. I can't accept any of her policies. Why is it that a loser is supposed to fall in lockstep like he's in a Gestapo union and follow right over the edge of the cliff? I can't do that.
Well, I'm sure the same people that watched the rise of Hitler back in the 1930s must have been just literally exasperated and frustrated and completely out of their minds with what was going on. And Hitler, much like what's going on today with this Hillary, you know she is a pathological liar. You know she got those 4 men killed there in Benghazi. You know that she is taking in millions of dollars in the fraudulent Clinton Foundation from Saudi Arabia. You know she's going to bring in Muslims to the point that we're not going to be able to function as a cohesive society. You know that her 15, I think 20-year assistant is a Muslim Brotherhood advocate in Ummah Abedin. You know that she doesn't have the capability of bringing the jobs back to America by renegotiating all of the different trade deals that are killing this country, i.e. China, India, Mexico. So what's going to happen is that we all get to be the victims. And I would never have supported Hitler, and therefore I will stand up and tell the truth, speak the truth, and write the truth as to a Hillary Clinton, no matter what. We cannot sit and let our country turn into what it's turning into with a Barack Obama and a Hillary Clinton. And that is a country that's no longer the United States of America, but it's everybody else's country and no longer America with Americans. That's what we're facing on this thing, Zip.
I totally agree. We have a caller with a question. Caller, quickly, you're on the air.
Well, I think maybe during the late 20s, when Hitler came to power, maybe they were naive. And I know we as a country are the same, but it's willful ignorance. It's whatever. It's obliviousness. But I get the feeling when we elected Obama and then he shoved Obamacare down our throat, we began to rise up. And I said, well, the people are going to wake up and do something. They're going to do the right thing. They're going to realize what matters. And I just keep hoping and hoping. And I get the feeling that maybe with the media playing their hand so blatantly that maybe there's enough people and that the polls are rigged and that there's people that are going to sign up and vote who have never done it before, and that maybe we will elect Donald J. Trump. I'll hang up.
All right, sir. Thanks. Frosty, respond to the caller, please.
Well, it is. There is no question, fellow Americans and everyone listening to the Zeb Bell Show, and that is this. The polls that are coming out of mainstream media are all rigged. There's nothing really truthful about what's coming out of NBC or CBS or ABC, and certainly not CNN, because even you can see all of the journalists, whether it's Martha Raddatz or it goes right on down the line. All of the, I look at Meet the Press and I listen to Face of the Nation, and I'm just astounded at the slant of these journalists, because they are so biased in favor of Hillary Clinton and all of these policies, knowing that she has lived an incredibly dishonest life, that she's deceived the American people. And so it's very possible, as the caller said, that Americans are so scared right now that they're going to be voting for Donald Trump, warts and all. And I just wrote a column, Trump, imperfect man, but the perfect man for President of the United States in this day and time. Because all of us have the locker room conversations as men in this country, so none of us is a saint. The consequences of every man in his life are shown, of course, in this presidential debate and this presidential run. But in the end, Donald Trump loves this country. He is an all-American. He doesn't kowtow to Muslims. He doesn't kowtow to foreign countries. He doesn't and isn't part of the good old boy network that's so corrupt, whether it's a Nancy Pelosi or a Harry Reid or a Michael Bennett from Colorado or a Boxer or a Feinstein or a Charles Schumer. Those people are corrupt to the core, and he's not a part of that. That's why there's a very good possibility that Donald Trump could run away with his election, because the polls are so corrupt themselves. Yet the American people know what they want, and they want leadership, and they want an all-American like Donald Trump to lead this country. So I still have hope, and I'm still going to do everything I can to support Donald Trump.
And the thing is, I do not want you, Frosty Woldridge, to weaken on your stance. You have been an outspoken critic of illegal immigration into this country and legal immigration. We need to set some quotas, and we've got to have some common sense. But don't ever change. But if you were to follow the dictates of what the left in Hillary wants to do if she's elected, they would command and demand that you cease and desist and follow them in lockstep right over the hill. I can't do that, and I know you won't either.
I will stand shoulder to shoulder with you as a United States citizen, and I will never back down, because the truth is the truth. And Barack Obama has been one of the most fraudulent presidents of all time, and he will be found out by history. And Hillary Clinton, whatever becomes of her, she is such a dishonest, fraudulent person on so many levels. And no, I will not back down. I will not accept her as President of the United States, no more than I have with Barack Obama after seeing how he's operated. And I will do everything I can to expose him and, of course, expose her. And God bless America, and God bless Donald Trump for doing what is needed in this country, and that's to bring new leadership and to drain the swamp. That means to get term limits and get men like John McCain and all the rest of those crooks out of the Senate and out of the Congress, because they're literally destroying America before our eyes.
And what was really funny, and I've only got about 2 minutes left, Frost, and I want you to comment on this. I have followed the numbers of the Trump rallies, whether it's in Florida, whether it's been in California, Texas, whether it's been in New Hampshire, whether it's been in Wisconsin. Literally thousands and thousands of people. I mean, yesterday in Florida, 25,000 people. Tim Kaine, the VP source for the Democrats, had a rally yesterday, and a total of 30 people showed up. You're on, buddy. Go ahead.
That's correct. Tim Kaine does not have presidential he doesn't have a presidential look or a presidential demeanor whatsoever. And so they're not drawing any crowds. And Trump is drawing all of us because I'll tell you what, the American people should be scared out of their wits right now if Hillary Clinton gets into office because, again, she will bring in the Muslim horde. She will bring in all of the consequences that we're now facing after 8 years of Obama. And so all we can do is get out and vote. Again, I hope everyone joins numbersusa.org and capsweb.org to lend your voice and your personhood onto the roles of those two extraordinary organizations to absolutely change the course of this massive, endless, legal and illegal immigration that's inundating our country.
I agree.
I just invite you to do that.
I've got one caller that I'm going to have to squeeze in. Real fast, caller. I've only got about 45 seconds. Fast.
Okay, Frosty, what is the Mexican government going to do about the buildup of ISIS and the joining of the drug cartels with ISIS?
Excellent question. As long as we do not secure the borders and we don't have a wall, then Mexico is going to continue to ship all of the drugs into America through all the mules across our unguarded Mexican border. The only way to stop it is to build a wall and have Donald Trump as President of the United States.
Very well stated. Frosty Woolridge, Golden, Colorado. You may be sitting in Colorado, but you will hear a sonic boom tonight at approximately 10:30 Mountain Time. If the Cubs win the first game of the World Series, you will know they had a victory. I will be heard.
You'll be bounding around the front room.
God bless you, man. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, take care. My dear friend Frosty Woolridge, and I really appreciate him being on the program, and what he said is correct. I agree with him. Hey, big sale coming up this Saturday, and it's the Leon Hubsmith Farm Sale at 156 South, 550 East of Dietrich. And don't forget, they're going to bring down the gavel at 11 o'clock. This sale managed by Rogge Auctions. Ron Rogge, Cade Rogge, Jed South. Number to call for more information, Ron Rogge at 431-6187. Or Cade Rogge at 431-0074. Tractors, farm implements, shop equipment, horse trailers, horse walkers, everything at the Leon Hubsmith Farm Sale up in Dietrich. And that, of course, is going to be at 156 South, 550 East of Dietrich. Sale time at 11 a.m. Rogge Auctions bringing you the sale on Saturday. Oh, my goodness, we got to catch up here a little bit, so bear with me. I also want to remind you about some really nice people. I mean, they are the epitome of nice and polite. And that's Joel Heward, his family, and his staff over at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. You know, every time I talk to Joel, it's a refreshing conversation. He's always smiling, upbeat, and I just really appreciate the way he meets people. Well, they can help you and your family when there's the passing of a loved one, and they can travel to the rural towns and churches and help you with all the arrangements. They are always committed to upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please call them today, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Very nice people. Let's see what else have we got cooking here. I want to talk just a moment, if I can, about our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. My goodness sakes, did you know that you can get the king-size mattress for the price of a queen? Did you know you can get a queen-size mattress for the price of a full? No money down, no interest, 12 months on approved credit. And along with that, all the bedroom sets. Along with that, all the recliners. Oh, my goodness, have they got a section of recliners over there? You got to go in and try those on. Tall, short, thin, well, whatever. Go on in there. They've got a recliner for you. Always at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those really, really nice people today. Don't forget the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function coming up on Thursday this week, day after tomorrow, and I'll be there doing a remote broadcast from 11 to 8. Actually, it's going to start at 7 o'clock in the morning with a great big, frightfully wonderful breakfast. Oh, it's going to be great. They're going to have the Witch's Den there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Creep candy for sale for Halloween. T-shirts on sale for $12. And don't forget, too, all the net proceeds to the Meals on Wheels at the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function on this Thursday, 2421 Overland in Burley. Excuse me. By the way, too, I want to remind you about my friends at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, my goodness, still time. Still time to get in there and check out the closeout prices on the 2016 four-wheelers and side-by-sides. Still time to get up in the hills and enjoy the beauty of southern Idaho. Still time to go to their accessory department. Still time to get something repaired in their service department and get out and enjoy. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24, between Rupert and the World, open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 5, where the fun is sold. While you're over in that area, too, don't forget our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Man, oh man, these guys and gals are very service-oriented to helping you with your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more. They're very responsive and dedicated to your needs. Call them for an appointment today, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. There is a lady that I've had on my program many times, and I got to admit she caught my attention with her blog this week, Energy Makes America Great. The headline in big, bold print was, "Get ready to break wind." Okay, here's Marita Noon. Good morning.
Good morning. A treat to be with you, as always.
I love your headline about get ready to break wind, Marita.
I hoped that would get people's attention and make them chuckle.
Well, it made me chuckle, but it's also extremely serious. I have been an advocate against wind power and solar power. I have called the wind turbines cancers on the landscape. I don't want to see them. I don't want them around. So your article was right in lockstep with me.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because you and I do tend to be in lockstep on energy issues. And, you know, I decided to write this article a few weeks back when one of the gentlemen who I cite in it sent me an email saying, I just got back from testifying at a hearing in New York State about wind turbines, and I do this a lot, and here's a summary of kind of what I said. And I thought, well, you know, that would be really helpful information to put out there, and that was the inspiration for this week's column.
Why don't you kind of break it down in a short synopsis about the wind turbine industry, how it's not going to pay for itself, it's not going to be a reliable source of energy, it is going to be an environmental disaster, all of those things together. I thought this piece that you wrote was extremely well put together.
Well, you're always so kind like that. Yeah, the deal is, I mean, I'm in California at the moment. Frankly, I just pulled off the highway to talk to you. I'm on my way to the airport to head home. I've been on a little girlfriend trip this weekend through the wine country, and one of my friends, as we drove to our other friend's home, we were driving from the airport, and I told her what I'd written on this weekend, and she kind of said, well, you know, I think generally wind and solar are a good idea, and I think most people are like this friend of mine. They have this kind of nebulous idea out there that, sure, we need green energy. Yes, wind and solar are a good idea. And so I explained to her how, in theory, yes, this seems like a good idea, but when your neighborhood is suddenly infested with wind turbines, you have a totally different attitude. And we've got subsidies that are expiring or being reduced at the end of this year. And so we have wind turbine companies who are frantic to get wind turbines installed before these subsidies expire or decrease. And as I wrote about in Vermont, we've got two situations where wind turbines are on the ballot, And the wind turbine companies are basically offering to bribe voters. They are saying, if you will pass this, we will give you a percentage of the money that we get from the government. The bottom line is this thing only works if you have government subsidies, which means, of course, taxpayer subsidies, because the government has no money that we do not give them.
You know, and the way you researched this piece and talked about what a supposed Hillary Clinton as president would advocate, and it was stated that they are committed to getting 50% of our electricity from clean energy sources within a decade. Marita, that is going to do one thing, and I can tell you what it is right up front. It's going to take a lot of money out of your purse and a lot of money out of my billfold to support something that's not cost effective.
That's exactly right. And to go to 50% renewable energy by 2050, when we are at something like 7% at best right now, will take a really astronomical amount of effort.
You know, when you researched this and you found out that about the environmentalists and all the bird kills and about how these literally are cancers on the landscape and absolutely lowering property values, what do some of the people think after they realize that this isn't all that glitters is gold when it comes to wind energy?
Well, there is most certainly a lot of regret. And in fact, one of the quotes from what I did with this column, let me back up if I may for a moment, is I interviewed 4 people that I know that I've had communication with over the years, who are what I call wind warriors. I have an email list that I call my wind warrior list, and they are who I reach out to when I write on wind because it's in the news. And so I talked to 4 of these people who are citizen advocates. They are not paid. These are citizen advocates who have been threatened with wind turbines coming into their community, and they have become experts out of necessity on how to fight wind. And so these people are now available as a resource, because if Hillary Clinton becomes president, in order to meet her green energy goals, we are going to see wind turbines coming into communities like we have never seen before. Now, if they're out in the wilderness on federal lands, that's kind of a different story. It's much harder to fight it then. But when it's coming into your neighborhood, you want to be very aggressive in fighting it. And really, as one of the advocates in my column states, you don't want to wait until then. You want to get proactive regulations, zoning laws in place now, before it becomes a true threat to your community. But what I've done in this column is put together a series of resources and links. Experts people can reach out to. These are citizen advocates. You can reach out to them. You don't have to be able to afford an attorney. You can just reach out to them. And instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, you can learn from communities that have been successful in breaking the wind project before it comes to their community.
You know, I like the way that you stress the fact that communities, whether it's here, whether it's in your home state of Texas, whether it's California, wherever, there still is such a thing called people power. If people will band together and absolutely say no, wouldn't you agree that there still is that opportunity to show our strength?
Yeah, there most definitely is, and that's what one of the advocates told me that in his home state of Michigan, wind has been on the ballot 11 times in the last few years and has never won. And in fact, I started to say previously, and then I kind of backed up and gave you a little bit of background, that one of the things to be aware of here is that when wind turbines have come to a community, you asked me, what happens to people who have agreed to this? How do they feel afterwards? Well, Kevin Martis, one of the advocates I cite in my column, told me that the worst thing for a wind company is when they already have put wind turbines in a neighboring community, and now they are trying to put in an industrial wind facility in the community next door, because the people in the community next door have seen the blight on the land. they have talked to their friends. They have heard about the loss of property values, about the sleep deprivation, and about many of these issues that are a concern for wind turbines in the community. And so Kevin said the worst thing for a wind turbine company is when they already have an installation in a nearby community, and now they're trying to go to the next community. The next community says, no way, we don't want what we see you did to our neighbors.
Absolutely. I want you to elaborate on the comment that you made in reference to a quote from Minnesota citizen energy activist Christy Rosenquist that said, wind is promoted as mitigating climate change and benefiting local rural economies. It does neither.
Yeah, and I've talked to her many times, and in her community where she lives, there are some wind projects that they were early wind projects, and once the subsidies expired, because the subsidies historically last for about 10 years, these wind projects have gone bankrupt. And so the people who signed up to get lease payments to have these wind turbines on their land, they're now stuck with these monstrosities in their land with huge bases of concrete in their land, and they've got no way to get rid of these things, yet they're not functional. And so there's problems that people don't even think about. And then on the climate change issue, they really don't help there either, because you have to have fossil fuel backup that you can have on demand. Normally that's natural gas, but natural gas would burn much more efficiently if it ran at a consistent rate than when the power plant operators have to turn it on and off and on and off and on and off based on whether or not there is wind energy available at the time.
You know, Marita, this might be an ambiguous question and maybe one that I should think about before I ask it. But when you look at the energy problem in this country that's being perpetrated by the left, they're creating a problem. We have the problem solved with all the assets of natural elements that God gave this country. But what would it take on numbers to increase the numbers of those cancer sticks on the landscape, the wind turbines, and the solar panels to replace the coal industry and a positive power source? I can't even imagine how much it would take.
No, unfortunately, I'm with you. I can't even imagine. Those numbers have been done. Robert Bryce, in his book Power Hungry, and then his newer book, which I believe is called Bigger, Smaller, Stronger, Cheaper, talking about fossil fuel energy, has done the math. And I cite a report from Robert Bryce in my column. There's a link. And he has done the math on how many wind turbines, et cetera, it would take. But basically, I mean, you'd be covering the entire landscape to truly be fossil fuel free.
When you go around to various communities and you talk about energy, and you have many in the audience that are of the green energy cult, do you find that after they've listened to you and you've kind of pried into their common sense, if you will, have they changed their philosophy and come up to you and said, holy smokes, I didn't know that?
Well, I hate to tell you that I don't have very many that are of the green energy persuasion who come to hear me speak. But as I shared with you with my friend in the car on this little vacation, she was not really green or not green. I mean, she wasn't one way or the other, and had the general idea that, yeah, wind and solar are good. And when I explained to her, some of the things in this week's column, when I explained to her what happened in South Australia, the state of South Australia, which has the highest implementation of wind energy of anywhere in the world, and they had no wind, and they were in huge trouble. The whole state had a blackout. She began to see the reality, and yes, her eyes did open, but I've not really had the opportunity of communicating with a willing-to-listen green energy believer.
All right, we have a caller with a question. Quickly, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, why are they using all these antiquated technologies, such as windmills, to produce power when there's so many suppressed energy sources? And if you don't believe that, there's a website called rexresearch.com, and you'll see hundreds of suppressed energy sources there.
All right, we'll have her comment on that. Marita, please respond to the caller.
You know, I had a really hard time hearing. Are you able to summarize that for me?
I think I can summarize it by saying, why are they so committed to the old windmill type of generation as opposed to all the new ideas, and the new ideas seem to be suppressed as far as a cleaner energy program is concerned?
Well, the only thing I can say is crony capitalism. I mean, there's money. Someone along the line has decided that this is the answer. It wasn't you and it wasn't me, but someone decided that this is the answer, and therefore the government has put millions, billions, really, forget millions. They put billions of dollars out there that these companies are able to take advantage of to develop these projects, and I don't know who made these decisions, but I would certainly say the answer is crony capitalism.
One quick thought, Marita, and I was talking about this yesterday. I made a list of the various things that I'm very, very concerned about if Hillary becomes president. Energy was one of the mainstays on my list, and I had about 3 or 4 different categories. I made the statement that I believe, and I can stand to be corrected after her term is over if I'm still alive, that she will be an advocate of carbon tax cards because she really wants to cut down on what Americans use as energy. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, I do. I do agree with you. I mean, this is a very, very big concern because energy equals GDP at our gross domestic product. And if you were to look at, and maybe I'll write on this in a couple of weeks, I've been actually talking about it for a while. If you look at the GDP, you know, you often hear President Obama saying that we use more energy than any country in the world. But yeah, we do. But you know what? We use it more efficiently, and we produce more per kilowatt or whatever you want to call it, per unit of energy than any other nation in the world. And when we cut down energy, we are cutting down our ability to be productive.
Absolutely. We have 3 minutes left. Caller, you're on the air quickly, please.
Yes, Zeb, what is the lifespan of the rooftop panels?
Okay, well, I'll ask Marita. She's the expert. Do you know on that, Marita, what's the lifespan of those?
They are generally 25 years. However, just like your cell phone, the life of those solar panels, just like your cell phone battery, the life of the solar panels, while it may last 25 years, they produce less and less electricity as the years go out. So their efficiency dwindles.
Ah, very well stated. Marita, I wish you well, and I can't wait for your next column. This one really caught my eye. You do a wonderful job, and I say God's blessings to you because you are the energy expert. Thank you so much, Marita Noon.
Thank you, Zeb Bell. Talk to you later.
God bless. Have a safe flight home. Energy makes America great. Marita Noon on our program, and she had an excellent article about the fallacies and the ridiculousness of wind energy and solar, too. It's just absolutely not going to work. But we're going to pay for it. Oh, are we going to pay for it? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the weather. And I've got to get the weather forecast in here, brought to you by Pope, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company, CPAs. You know, I really trust these folks, and you should too, because they know all about how to serve you with tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, financial statement preparation, payroll services, retirement planning. Talk to the people that are the professionals. Pope, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company, CPAs, Curtis Pope, Todd Phillips, Rob Oaks, Mitch Goodwin, Lyden Crane. 2 locations, 1710 Overland in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Right now, here's the weather.
Clouds are going to be sticking around, but it is going to be getting warmer, which will be nice. Looks like cloudy skies for today. Slight chance of rain showers off and on. Expect a high of 62, tonight low of 41. For Wednesday and Thursday, partly cloudy skies, warming up to about 70, which is going to be really nice. Lows are going to be in the mid-40s for Friday. Rain showers are in the forecast. About a 70% chance. Wind's going to be picking up for Friday as well. High of 59 with an overnight low of 42. Then as we get on into the weekend, looks like sunny and mid-60s. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Don't forget, we're getting close to the end of the year, and it's a great time to get a hold of these folks and talk to them about your taxes and financial papers that you need to have gone over. Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, and Company. CPAs that you can trust, CPAs that know. Get a hold of them today. In Burley and Rupert, Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, and Company. Wow. I got to tell you this, folks, and I want you to be aware that my wife and I, we were going to try, and it's not out of the realm of reason that maybe we can still pull it off. I don't know. It looks like through her family tree of her maiden name that the owner of the Chicago Cubs and my wife are related. Now, you're probably sitting there saying, oh, are you going to play the family card and try to get tickets for the World Series? Yup. Yup. And boy, would I love to go back. And if I miss a day or two of programming and I'm back there at the World Series, I would say that's a good trade-off. I absolutely have been a Cub fan all of my life, from way back with Ron Santo and Ernie Banks and Billy Williams, and the list goes on and on. Ferguson Jenkins. And they're in the World Series against the Cleveland Indians, and the first game is tonight. Please, if you try to call me this evening, don't, because I will not answer the phone. I'm watching my Cubs in the World Series. By the way, your District 25B Representative Clark Kaufman wants you to be sure and vote yes on HJR 5, which is an amendment to the Idaho Constitution to ensure the separation of powers of the executive and legislative branches. Don't forget to go vote November 8th, and yes on HJR 5. Thanks to Clark Kaufman, your District 25B Representative. Thanks to the committee to elect Clark Kaufman, Debbie Kaufman, Treasurer. Thank you very much. Okay, and I also want to get a chance right now to talk about a dear friend of ours that's been on our program many, many times, and that's Representative Fred Wood, running unopposed for State Representative, District 27. Fred on the Health and Welfare Committee and the Resources and Environment Committee, and he wants you and encourages you to go vote yes on HJR 5. And again, take your picture ID and be proud of who you are when you go to the polls to vote on November 8th. Paid for by Fred Wood for House Seat 27. Thank you very much, Fred. Fred's always been right there when we need him on this program, and I really appreciate all of his effort. There's another gentleman that's running for re-election, and a good man, too, Steve Hartkin, State Representative, and that's District 24B. A very strong Republican incumbent for re-election on November 8th, and that's, of course, Steve Hartkin. A high conservative rating on a wide range of issues, and a supporter of the Second Amendment and our right to own and bear firearms. So don't forget, when you go to the polls on November 8th, vote for re-election for Steve Hartkin, State Representative, District 24B, paid for by Stephen Hartkin Campaign Committee. Oh, let's see what else have we got cooking here in our little schedule of things to take care of. Next hour, we're going to have Dr. History, and he's going to be here in the studio. I have no clue what he's going to talk about this morning. And then at 10:30, we're going to have a couple of fellas here with us on the program, and we're going to be talking about the Rock Creek Rural Fire Department. They are absolutely fantastic. I think these people, with their training and their knowledge and their caring for the community, and they're going to be on the air with us at 10:30. So I know Taylor Hunsaker and I believe Jason Freeman are going to be on the program with us, and we're looking forward to talking about money necessary for the Rock Creek Fire Department and all that they do for the community. Once again, I need to remind you that Thursday, a very special day, the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function is coming up this Thursday. Please please. I urge everybody to come to breakfast. I urge everybody to come on over to the Senior Junction during the hours I'll be on the air over there from 8 to 11. But if you get there a little earlier, like at 7 o'clock in the morning, that's when they're going to serve that big, big breakfast. It's going to be absolutely delicious. There are going to be costume contests, and they're going to have pumpkin carving and painting contests. They're going to have the Witch's Den. Oh, my, I understand it's going to be really good and scary over there. They've got Creek candy on sale for Halloween. They've got T-shirts for $12 for the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function. So please remember, all the net proceeds go to the Meals on Wheels. And we want to say a big thank you and a shout out to the folks over at the Senior Junction. Caller, I've got 30 seconds, real fast. Go ahead.
And Zeb, last night I was sitting, after I got home, I was sitting there doodling on some pads and watching the news, and I said, it doesn't seem to matter what they throw at Trump, and they have thrown every conceivable thing you can imagine. And I said, he's like the Terminator. They can't get rid of him, whether or not it's Arnold or the Mercury dude. They just can't get rid of him. And let's just hope he gets elected. I'll hang up.
All right, buddy. Have a good day. Thank you for your thoughts. I agree with you. Right now, we're going to have this good word for Senator Mike Crapo, and then Wheels taking us up to CBS News. I'll be back in 6. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. As the music comes up, hour number 3. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Kind of cloudy, and then a little sunshine out there. Don't forget, this is Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and quit shuffling your papers over there, Turner, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Once again, another reminder for Steve Hartkin, State Representative, Position 24B, wants your vote to be reelected to serve the state of Idaho. He's very, very strong supporter of the Second Amendment, right to own firearms, also knows water rights in Idaho and multiple use of public lands. This man is needed in our legislature. Vote for Stephen Hartkin on November 8th for District 24B State Representative, paid for by Steve Hartkin Campaign Committee. Good man. Okay, let's see what else have I got here real quick. I need you to remind yourself to vote yes when you go to the polls on November 8th for HJR 5. Your voice needs to be heard, and you should always be able to hold our state government accountable. Vote yes on HJR 5. And don't let activist courts take away our legislature's authority to approve or reject agency rules. Vote yes on HJR 5, paid for by Speaker of the House Scott Bedke, Representative Fred Wood, and Senator Kelly Anthon. And, by the way, too, another gentleman that we want to highlight, and that's, of course, a good guy, really good guy, Clark Kaufman, your District 25B representative, encourages you to vote yes on HJR 5, which is an amendment to the Idaho Constitution to ensure the separation of powers of the executive and legislative branches. Vote November 8th, Clark Kaufman, and he is your representative from District 25B, paid for by Debbie Kaufman, Treasurer. Now, without further ado, it's time for Dr. History, brought to you, of course, by our dear friend Zach and the entire crew. Zach Attack over there at Minnecash Sales in Burley. Wonderful people serving you at Minnecash Sales. And with that being said, here is the one, the only, and for that I'm very thankful, Dr. History. Good morning.
Good morning. There's probably a lot of people that are glad there's only a one and only.
They say the same about me.
Yes.
How you been?
Doing great.
How's the wife?
Doing
How's
good.
The wife?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
Yep.
And you had an excellent show last week. That was a really good program. Now, I'm always a little inquisitive. What area of the Old West are we going to jump into this week?
Okay, I'm going to just say a name, and you tell me what comes to mind.
Okay.
Christopher Houston Carson.
Kit Carson was his name.
Yes.
And a lot of us, when we were growing up, if you were an old fogey like me, remember the Saturday morning show, the Kit Carson Show.
Kit Carson, that's the man.
Yep.
So, he actually was one of the most popular figures of the Wild West, and unfortunately, sometimes one of the more controversial.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
His exploits as a mountain man, as a guide and scout for the great explorers, and for the immigrants, and as an Indian fighter, and as a war hero.
Well, keep going.
They were a source of a lot of tales, and I think some of them were true, some of them not so true. But his life was actually somewhat of a contradiction, because he actually loved the Indian way of life, but unfortunately, he did a lot to destroy it, too.
Really?
Yeah. But his courage, his endurance, his intelligence were tested time after time, and in the old or the new frontier, whatever you want to call it. But add to that the fact that he was actually a quiet, soft-spoken, kind of an unassuming, small man, they say, in stature.
Now, I heard, pardon my interruption, but I heard some sources, sometimes television, well, many times television, doesn't portray the old Western heroes, if you will, in the proper light. I heard the guy was only about 5'7".
Well, and when they say small in stature back then, 5'7" would have been probably, small.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was actually the 11th child in their family.
Wow, that's why he was so doggone small.
Yeah, he didn't get any food. But his dad was killed when he was only 8 years old. But he was born on Christmas Eve, 1809, in Kentucky. He was a small baby, they say. His father decided that his name, Christopher Houston Carson, was too heavy a burden for such a tiny little kid, and so he shortened it to Kit.
Yeah.
And so it was a nickname that he carried, of course, for the rest of his life. Now, he was the latest addition to a Scots family that had long been on the move to the west. From Scotland, they moved to Ireland. From there, they moved to Pennsylvania. From there to the Carolinas.
Oh, my.
And then, eventually, to Kentucky.
Were they farmers?
Well, it really doesn't say what they actually did. But when he was only 1.5 years old, his family again moved west, this time to Missouri, which this was the frontier jumping off place. That was the gateway to the Wild West. It was the crossroads that the Plains Indians, of course, met with the increasing flood of immigrants, and not in a good way. They were not happy to see this line basically moving west.
Yeah.
So, anyway, in this place, this is where Kit grew up, just as the West was opened, and he sometimes experienced the dangers of Indian attacks, because they were still happening right there. But sometimes listening to the stories of the mountain men, and told of grizzly bears and beavers, and the stories of the wild tribes, and the southwestern deserts, and, of course, the Rocky Mountains. And more than likely, they figured that his family and Daniel Boone's family were probably friends.
No kidding.
That lived in the same area.
Yep. The Carsons and the Boones. They had supper together.
They probably did, and he probably met Jim Bridger.
Really?
Because again, this was the jumping off place for heading west.
Yeah.
So probably he met some of these guys, but it's no wonder that when he was apprenticed at the age of 15 to a saddle maker, he found this extremely boring. Mm-hmm. So in 1826, at the ripe old age of 17, he answered the call of the West and sneaked away to join a trading party headed for Santa Fe, and thus began the adventures of the famous Kit Carson.
I can see the beginning credits of the show now.
It's coming, so how about a break?
Oh, good for you. Thank you. Hey, don't forget Minicash Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. Zach and the rest of the crew. Hey, I can't stress enough, upgrade your windows with Western Windows. Winter is coming, and you don't want those cold drafts. So check it out with Zach today. And they can also help find a contractor and send over a contractor to install the job. So call them today. Stop in. Super nice people with all your lumber packages, your windows, etc. Burley is blessed to have them. Minicash Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. And they bring you Dr. History. Before we send it back to Dr. History, I also want to remind everybody about what's going on at Four Paws. Hey, don't forget your dog this weekend, Ken. You got to take it over to the great big Halloween. The Halloween Halloween, Four Paws annual party and pet parade for Halloween. It's going to be this Saturday, October 29th, parade judging at 1 p.m. Free pictures follow the parade. They've got pet costumes on sale right now at discounted prices. They're 25% off. All of this at Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 South of Rupert. Number to call for the Halloween, 438-4444. And now, back to Dr. History and Kit Carson's trek into New Mexico.
All right. Before I leave, when I get through with this, I've got a picture I want to show you of Kit Carson.
Okay.
All right? So Kit joined in with a veteran trapper and explorer by the name of Ewing Young. Now, I've never heard of him, but he kind of became his tutor in the ways of the mountain man. He worked as a teamster driving freight to El Paso. He worked as an interpreter for a trade caravan to Chihuahua, Mexico. And in 1829, he joined his first trapping party for the next 15 years. He wandered all over the West as a hunter, a trapper, from Mexico clear up to where we're at, Zeb, up here to the Snake River.
Really?
He actually came into this area. And from the Mississippi to California, so he covered a lot of ground.
Well, I guess.
But during that time, he absorbed everything he could about the animals, the Indians, and the best mountain trails. The extensive knowledge and experience he gained during these years was to make him an invaluable asset to anybody heading west. So, and we've talked about scouts before. They have almost like a photographic memory of the mountains and the trees and the paths and how to guide. So anyway, so here he is at age 31. It's 1842. And he's at the rendezvous, and he actually fought and won a deadly duel on horseback with another trapper.
Really?
You know, those rendezvous got to be, how would we say, a little wild sometimes?
A little. What was the deadly duel? What did they do?
It doesn't say, but it says it was on horseback, so I'm assuming...
Did they charge into each other?
I don't know. Maybe they just started shooting at each other.
Oh, boy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, he met the first of his two Indian wives there, and a Arapaho woman who died shortly after their second daughter died. Now, his second wife was a Cheyenne, but she left him probably because she did not want to be a stepmother to his two Arapaho kids.
I see.
And you can kind of see that even today.
Positively.
So, but both tribes soon after became the enemies of the white settlers, but they always kept a deep respect for Kit Carson. In their eyes, Kit was different from the other whites. He took the time to learn Indian languages, including Cheyenne and Ute. He grew to understand and appreciate their customs and their beliefs. They respected him because he proved himself as a warrior in a lot of different battles, sometimes fighting alongside them, but sometimes against them.
Yeah.
But he was truly respected.
And he was a little guy.
He was a little guy, but in battle he almost always prevailed, even against overwhelming odds, as they saw it. Yeah. Well, they figured the Indians, they were superstitious. They thought that the spirits favored him with strong medicine.
Really?
And you don't unconvince them if that's what they think.
That's right.
Anyway, more than once, the mere knowledge that Kit Carson was ready to join the other side was enough to prevent conflict. In 1851, Carson was leading a small group of provision-laden wagons from St. Louis to Taos, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in southwestern Kansas, near the Colorado border, they met a large group of Cheyenne.
Uh-oh.
Now, I mentioned that one of his wives was Cheyenne.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the Cheyenne camped peacefully with the Teamsters, but Carson overheard them speaking among themselves about their plans to kill the white men and take their goods.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so he's listening in on this conversation.
Yeah. He's eavesdropping.
Well, and of course, he understood their words, and which they didn't think anybody would understand their Indian language.
I see.
So Kit jumped up, grabbed his rifle, and pointed at the Indians and just started yelling and cussing and swearing, whatever, to get their attention.
Kind of like you do when you come in here
when
sometimes.
I walk in here.
Yeah.
And he ordered them out of the camp. Well, one of the older warriors recognized him and told the rest that this was the daredevil Kit Carson. The Cheyenne immediately packed up and rode away without a fight.
Did?
Without a fight.
Really? One little bitty guy?
This was the amazing Kit Carson.
Oh, my
You don't mess with Kit Carson.
Nope.
So, anyway, Kit served as a guide for Lieutenant John C. Fremont, the explorer and surveyor who followed the route of the Lewis and Clark expedition and mapped it for the Army. For 4 years, starting in 1842, Carson scouted for Fremont on 3 expeditions that took them to the wildest country in the Wild West, and the last of which ended up in taking when we took over California for the Union.
Yeah.
That was one of his contributions. So, anyway, of all the places he'd been in the West, the one that most touched his heart was Taos, New Mexico.
He liked that area.
He did. Now, I've never been there, and I think you have.
I think right there they established the Kit Carson National Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a park right there.
Okay. Anyway, he made it his permanent home and started a ranch with an old comrade of the trap lines, a guy by the name of Lucian Maxwell, which, again, I've never heard of this guy. But
Me neither.
He also took to the Catholic faith and married into it, choosing as his third wife a woman by the name of Josefa Jaramillo.
What happened to wife number 2?
She left without saying goodbye.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she didn't want to take care of his two.
It was one of those gather the teepee and gone?
Yeah, she didn't want to mess with his 2 kids from the first wife.
So the first wife died.
Right.
Second wife ran away.
Yeah. So
and
now we're
on number 3.
Number 3, yep. Anyway, she was the daughter of a prominent Taos family. Anyway, Carson really could never settle down for long. You know, a lot of these guys were that way.
Yeah.
And several times he took off on expeditions with trips with Fremont, with others. In late 1853, he jumped at the opportunity to become the U.S. Indian agent for northern New Mexico.
Really?
Now, this was a job that again sent him wandering over a large territory and brought him into contact with a number of tribes. But Carson had great respect for the people he'd once fought, and he served successfully until 1861. The Indians liked him because he was fair and honest and was quick to defend their interests. Now, we've talked before, Zeb, about Indian agents that would take the food and the clothing and the blankets and sell them, so to speak, on the black market.
Well, you know, you're talking about 1861 in New Mexico, and even as late as the 1870s into the 1880s, they were absolutely ridiculous the way they treated the Apaches, et cetera, in Arizona.
Right. So the fact that he treated them with respect, he was good to them, so they respected him.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. But which was not always the case with Indian agents.
Absolutely.
But with the outbreak of the Civil War in 1861, Carson resigned to become a colonel in the Union Army and took command of the 1st New Mexico Volunteer Infantry. Now, he served primarily in New Mexico, so he never did really go into the eastern part of where the battles were.
Did they see any battle?
They did. They had a battle called the Battle of Valverde, and I was going to look that up, and I forgot. So I'm not sure.
I have heard about that. Yeah.
But anyway, later he detached to organize what they called the 1st New Mexico Cavalry in Albuquerque, and he saw most of the action as he actually fought the hostile Indian tribes who were exploiting the white man's preoccupation with the war in the East. So they saw this as an opportunity, the Indians, to fight the whites.
How much did the Indians really know that was going on politically?
You know, that's a great question, but somehow they must have known that there was a battle going on between the whites themselves.
Yeah.
So they took advantage of that. But with his Fort Stanton garrison of 5 mounted troops, Carson fought the Kiowa, the Comanche, the Arapaho, the Apache, and the Navajo, and he rose to the rank of what they call a brevet brigadier general.
Wow.
And I'm not sure how that
That's
ranks.
The guy with all the fluff on his shoulders.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but his fame as an Indian fighter stems mostly from his time with the Union Army.
I'll be darned.
So, but Carson didn't enjoy his campaigns against the Indians. Military campaigns were the same kind of a free-for-all fight in which he gloried as a young man. They were deadly serious business in which the objective was to destroy the enemy. He sympathized with the Indians, but he was forced by his sense of duty to try to do his job well, and he succeeded in his summer of 1863. They had a campaign against the Navajo. Mm-hmm. He had his 700 troops against a tribe of 8,000 or more.
Sounds to me like somebody didn't count heads.
Yeah. But they effectively, and I hate to say this, they effectively destroyed them as a free people.
You're kidding. Holy
you know,
700 against 8,000?
Yeah,
of course, the firepower.
Right, and cannons and the guns they had. But, you know, and again, to me that's a sad note. But
it is.
Anyway, sick and weary, Carson resigned his commission shortly after the war and settled in a place called Boggsville, Colorado. Heard of that?
Not Boggsville.
Okay.
I don't think it's your major metropolis.
Probably. But, you know, he and his wife were kind of in bad health. And he accompanied a group
now,
of...
this is wife number 3.
Wife number 3.
I see.
From Taos.
Uh-huh.
But he accompanied a group of Ute Indians to Washington to assist them in negotiations. You remember, he knows the language.
Oh, absolutely.
So He sought the help of physicians in several eastern cities, but it did no good. His dear wife, Josepha, died in childbirth in April of 1868.
Now, wait a minute. How old was he then? I thought you said he was born in like 1809 or something.
So, he's about in his 50s by now.
Okay, all right.
So, anyway, Kit wrote out his will, and shortly afterward, he also died.
Really?
Both were buried in a small graveyard near their favorite place in Taos, New Mexico.
Yep, I remember that. I went by to see that.
Okay.
Years ago on a trip, I went by there.
Okay.
Yep.
But Kit Carson was a physical, practical person. It says that he was not an intellectual, which to me that's tells me that he wasn't a book-read individual.
Yeah, but those are the elitists talking like that. He probably had more common sense than they did.
Okay, and that's what I'm thinking. He knew the outdoors. He knew how to scout.
Absolutely.
But he was illiterate. He could sign his name only with effort. In his heart, he longed to live in the wild places. They were his books. The outdoors.
Yeah, but when you say someone is illiterate through history, I mean, look what he did to help the United States Army. Look what he did to help during the Civil War. I mean, that's not an illiterate man.
And here's a case where a man that I wish that he could have written.
And he had a TV show.
But, anyway, and, those who followed him, he was kind of the epitome of what a man could become in the Wild West, a man of maturity. And here's the kicker. It says wisdom.
Yeah.
So sometimes wisdom is better than intellectual.
Well, look at you.
No, that's not. Anyway, he was a man made for the frontier.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
I mean, he was the master scholar of the West, of his mountains and rivers and his people, and he marked his lessons well for those of us who came after him. He paved the way. He helped us.
The Adventures of Kit Carson.
Yeah. But, the Scouts, I'm going to do a thing on the Scouts. They were amazing. I mean, they could trail almost anybody, anything, and tell what kind of horses, if they were mules. In fact, one little thing, they could watch a bird called I think it's called the mud dauber.
The mud dauber?
Mud dauber. I think I'm guessing.
Okay.
But if they would watch this bird, and if it was flying and it had mud in its beak, it was coming away from water. If it had nothing in its beak, it was going towards water. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Now, my eyes are such that I would not even be sure what kind of bird it was.
When you came in here, you must have part mud dauber in you because you went straight to the refrigerator and got a little water.
Yes, you saw that. And actually, Mustangs, wild horses, if they were kind of spread out grazing, they had come from water. If they were in single file, they were going to water.
Whoa.
So those are just a couple of the little things that scouts knew. I mean, and so many more things. But anyway.
See, we learned so much from having you on this program.
I would like to hope.
Now we know that Dr. Mud Dauber will have more in future broadcasts.
Yeah, and I think most of it's true, I think.
Yeah. Hey, hang on. I'll be right with you. I got to talk to you in a minute. Don't forget Minnecasia Sales bringing you Dr. History on Tuesdays at 10:06, 1321 East Main Street in Burley. Zach and the whole crew with all your carpet, all your windows, all your lumber. And don't forget they got the Tartar Farm and Ranch gates and panels, too, at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley. Really good folks. Oh, and by the way, let's not forget everything that's going on over at A Child's World, as they're one of the sponsors of Cassia County School Days coming up on Thursday. Cassia County School Days brought to you by A Child's World, 1308 Overland and Burley. They're having their big October holiday toy sale. All the toys, family games, books, and puzzles are 25% off. Stop in today at A Child's World. And then don't forget to Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 677-8888. 677-8888. Let them save you money on your outpatient surgeries, including colonoscopies, etc., right there at Ambulatory Surgery Center, along with the Child's World, bringing you school days in Cassia County. Wonderful, wonderful people. Hey, by the way, too, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland and Burley, and they're having a great big extension of their sale with the king mattresses going for the price of a queen. queen. Queen mattresses going for the price of a full. No money down, no interest, 12 months on approved credit. Great buys on all their recliners and all their furniture and dining room sets at Lee's Furniture, Floors and more. 459 Overland in Burley. Really, really nice people. And last but not least, before I finally send it back over to our station, I want to remind everybody about our dear friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Don't forget 678-0459. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric and see how they can save you money along with Lennox. We're going to send it back over to our main studios. I'll be back with more in just a few minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you, and welcome back into our last half hour. And we're going to have our guest with us, another one right here in the studio in just a moment. Want to remind you about our dear friend Kelly Anthon, state senator for District 27, running unopposed, a very conservative voice representing the Mini-Cassia area community, and believe me, he has served as Burley City Attorney and Rupert City Attorney, and he has a unique ability to represent the entire Mini-Cassia area. He encourages you to get out and vote on November 8th, and be sure and vote yes on HJR 5. Don't forget, paid for by the committee to elect Kelly Anthon, Idaho State Senate, and the co-chairs Denton Darrington and Dean Cameron, along with Elaine Stevenson, Secretary. Thank you very much. All right, let's move right along to our guest coming in here this morning, and I'm very honored to have the captain of the Rock Creek Rural Fire Department, and that's Jason Freeman. Correct, Jason?
That's right.
Nice to have you on the program.
It's nice to be back.
You were here back in May, I believe.
Yes.
And we talked about the Rock Creek Rural Fire Department, and I got to be honest with you. I thought at the last election that everything was hunky-dory and that the levy had passed in May, but then all of a sudden here about 2-3 weeks ago, I understand there was a major malfunction at the junction and it had not passed. Explain that a little bit.
That's correct. What happened was we got 64% of the vote.
You want to tip that mic up just a little bit? There you go.
Yeah, we got 64% of the vote. Unfortunately, we had to pass it by a supermajority, which is 66.5%. So it was falsely reported at the time that the levy had passed, even though it had not.
Oh, my goodness. I don't want to beleaguer the point, but how does something like that go down wrong in the news media? That really kind of bothers me a little bit.
I sure wish I could answer that question.
Okay. But anyway, you need the money. Okay.
Yes.
Now, give us a little bit of information as to what the increase for the levy will do and how it's going to help basically us as patrons.
Sure. Well, what's happening in our district is the amount of growth that we've experienced over the last half dozen years has just been unprecedented. You know, we're seeing residences go up left and right, especially in the Kimberly area.
Yeah.
And even here in Murtaugh, you've had some residential growth. So that's what that's translated to is a much higher call volume for us. We're up almost 25% on calls just from what we were 3 or 4 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. So what's happening is right now we're only staffed 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. And many of our calls come in after those hours. So what we'd like to do is get this levy passed so that we can increase our manpower and provide a coverage for our district 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay. So the enormity of our area, and by the way, what area do you serve?
We cover everything from 3300 East by Chobani and Twin, and all the way out to the Cassia line, and then up the canyon is our northern border, and we cover all the way up to the Magic Mountain ski area.
Holy smokes, that is a big area.
Yeah, it translates to about 212 square miles.
212 square miles. And how many different fire stations do you have?
We run out of 3 stations right now.
3 stations. Where are they?
We have one in Kimberly, one in Murtaugh, and then we have one out there south of Hanson.
Okay, that's the new one right there by the canal.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, on 32 and 38.
Okay. So basically you're serving how much to 212 square miles.
Correct.
And with 3 fire stations. And this levee's going to be an increase to do what?
We're going to add enough manpower to run out of our Kimberly station 24 hours a day.
Okay. And how can anybody be opposed to that? I mean, man, there's nothing worse than a house fire. There's nothing worse than watching all your dreams and aspirations go up in flames because nobody's there to help fight the fire.
Sure. And like most people, I believe most people probably don't think it's ever going to happen to them, but one of the things we're trying to stress in this is really it's just cheap insurance. We're talking $5 a month for a home of a value of about $150,000. And the one point that I always try to drive home to is I live in the district as well, so I'm not exempt from it.
Yeah.
So certainly if I didn't see the need for it, I wouldn't be promoting it.
Jason, how could and is there a lot of opposition to this increase in the levy? I mean, are you worried that it won't pass? I mean, why would people in the last election, why would they vote no for it? I'm curious about that.
I really wish I could answer that question. I believe that we maybe had been a little weak getting the information out the last time, and maybe people just didn't understand. So we're trying to be a lot more proactive this time around and get on more radio programs like this one and getting in touch with the media and getting the information out there.
Okay, well, I'll tell you something, folks. When I've been connected with I hate to use this terminology, fire industry, if you will, because my son is a fireman up in Boise for the Capital City Fire Department. And my respect for firemen has gone up tenfold. Tell us a little bit about your training. Is it the same as it would be for a major city fire department? What do you have to go through to get people to be involved in the Rock Creek Rural Fire Department?
Sure. What we've done, or what we've been able to manage to do over the last half dozen years, is to implement a program where all of our firefighters are becoming state certified.
I see.
So the several weeks worth of training, and then on top of that, there's a written test and a practical test and all those things to get certified. And there's several different areas. There's driver operator. There's just your straight firefighter certifications, fire instructor, fire officer, all these different subjects. And as well as our EMT training is pretty extensive as well.
Now, covering an area that big, 212 square miles, and a call comes in, what happens? Who goes where?
Well, depending on where exactly in the district it lies, it could be the volunteers that work here in Murtaugh. They end up coming down to the Murtaugh station and taking an engine or an ambulance to...
So they get a call, and then their beeper goes off, and they go to the equipment and then respond to the fire, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And I got to compliment you guys. I have seen your work in action. Fortunately, it wasn't at my place, but unfortunately, it was at the home of a very dear friend of mine. I saw you guys in action and the response time, and you are to be commended. Your people are excellent.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Give us a little information about the Rock Creek Rural Fire Department in general. When did all this start?
The district itself was formed in the early 90s, and over that time it's just evolved, and that's what we're trying to do now, is evolve with the times. Like I said, our district is experiencing growth like it's never had before, and we're just trying to keep up.
When you talk about all the training and everything, what's the most dangerous aspect of your job? I know a lot of people think, well, Zeb, don't be dumb, that's fighting fires. But really, what's the most dangerous part of your job?
Honestly, it's probably getting the apparatus from point A to point B.
Really?
Just driving the trucks is the most dangerous part of the job.
Yeah. My son has said the same thing. It's trying to avoid all the drivers and the traffic to get to the fire itself.
Sure, and our district, there's a lot of rural area. There's a lot of those roads like this. So when the weather is,
go ahead.
When we have weather coming in, then snow and wind and ice.
Yeah, and this is all a rural area where sometimes, or most of the time, those roads are not going to be the epitome of greatness.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, how much is this going to cost the people in the district as an increase?
I don't have an exact number for that because the variables are so huge. Like I said, the best estimate that I can give is about $5 a month for a home of a value of about $150,000.
I see. And there was a question I wrote down here on a sheet that I had the other day that you were on the air, the other month you were on the air. What is ISO? Those are the letters I want you to talk about a little bit.
That's the Insurance Services Office. And what that is the lower that number is, the better it is for our constituents here within the district.
How do they determine that number?
It's based on response times. It's based on hydrant locations, staffing. All of those things play a factor into it. And we actually were able to drop that rating within the cities to a 4.
Okay, so the lower the number of the ISO, the most efficient the fire service is?
Correct.
Okay, and you're at a 4 right now.
Within the cities. Outside of the cities, I believe it's an 8. And the reason for that is because the hydrants are so far away from those residences. And that number is really difficult to change. Over time, as the district grows, it may change, but I can't promise that.
As the captain of the Rock Creek Rural Fire Protection District, what's your job? I mean, what do you do?
I supervise other firefighters when we go on a call, whether it's a structure fire or a vehicle extrication or
every call.
Yes, most calls. Okay. Truth of the matter is, though, I have a very good crew. So a lot of times, if it's a minor call, I don't need to be there. They can have.
So do you have that beeper by the bedstand 24/7, 365?
Yes, I do.
Wow, that is amazing. Now your main headquarters, pardon me, is in Kimberly. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. A beautiful brand new station. You've got a hospitality room there and everything. I mean, you guys really have done a lot to serve the community, and I highly respect everything you're doing. What do you think the public needs to know about the increased money or the reason it didn't pass? I mean, how would you go and tell my public this morning that's listening to this program, why should they vote yes?
Again, I think it's cheap insurance. Nobody ever likes to think about the possibility that these things can happen to them. But I think during the course of just about everybody's lifetime, at some point you're going to have to call 911. And for us, it's all about getting there as quickly as we possibly can to mitigate whatever circumstance those people are in.
Yeah. Now, I am very well aware of calling 911 because after I got back from surgery in Salt Lake City, I had a problem about a week later and called, and you guys were right there, Johnny, on the spot. And what about who can vote on this? What areas?
And anybody that lives within the district. So that's anybody within the boundaries we talked about, from 33 to Kaja.
And that's going to be coming up on November 8th.
Correct.
Okay, and hopefully you need what to make it pass?
We need a 66.5%.
66.5%. I don't understand how anybody could not vote for this because it's absolutely critical. Sure, there may be some that say, well, I can't afford the money. Well, you can't afford not to. It's like you said, very good insurance. Right?
I agree with that. Yes.
Okay. Why did you want to become a fireman?
That's something I've always wanted to do since I was a kid.
You sound like my son Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know Jake?
I don't.
I know Taylor does. And
sure.
By the way, where is Taylor? Did he, quite frankly, chicken out on us this morning?
No, he didn't. I volunteered to just come and take care of it. So.
Okay. But what's the fascination with becoming a fireman? Why?
It's just something intrinsic. It's just something I've always had an interest in and I just wanted to do.
And do you do anything else besides this?
Hunt and fish.
You're just like Jake, yeah. It's not a job that a lot of parents want their kids to get involved in. It's a dangerous job, like being a policeman, isn't it?
Sure, yeah, it can be.
What's the most dangerous part of your job while you're at the fire itself? I mean, give us a little walkthrough as to what happens on a structure fire, a home fire, that type of thing.
Well, statistically, probably the most dangerous thing is people being out of shape. If you look at the statistics nationwide, most firefighters die from overexertion.
Really?
Yeah. But on top of that, though, there's always the possibility of building collapse. There's always the possibility of a number of variables, natural gas explosions, things like that. But you're right. It is just an inherently dangerous job.
When you get to the scene of a fire, and let's say that somebody called in and say they have a house fire or their shop is on fire, how much of an assessment of the fire do you have to do as the captain to really see, oh boy, there's propane tanks, there's this over there, there's that? I mean, you have to kind of scope out the whole thing in a hurry, don't you?
That's correct. Yeah, we get on scene and we do whoever the officer on that engine is will do a complete 360-degree walk around of the incident and make a plan. And obviously those decisions have to be made very quickly.
Yeah. And what about the water situation? How do you plug into it? You almost have to have the water adequacy on the trucks, right?
Correct. In most of our area, we don't have hydrants available. So we have 2 3,000-gallon water tenders, and we have a tank that we can dump that water into, and that truck will then shuttle water back and forth from a city hydrant or another water source.
So while one is putting out the fire, the other one's going back for more water?
Correct.
How long does it take to fill up a 3,000-gallon tank?
Depends on the hydrant. Some of them are really, really good. It can take anywhere from 3 to 7 minutes.
Wow. And then back to the fire.
Correct.
Holy smokes. How much training do you guys have to go through?
Quite a bit. It's really extensive.
Give us a little insight as to what that's like.
Well, like I said, there's a classroom portion. They usually take about a month to get through before we can even take a written test, and then after that, there's a set of practical exams that have to be passed as well.
I know that my son, of which I am very proud of what he's accomplished, he was a kind of a small guy in high school. I mean, maybe about 5'8", 5'9", and lucky with rocks in his pockets if he weighed 140 pounds. And now he's 6'1" and 230. Sure. He's solid as a house, I'm guaranteeing you. You really go through a lot of rigorous training, don't you?
Yes, we do.
What about, do you have a litany of things that you have to attend, like weightlifting courses and physical education classes? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, what we try to do is, at least for amongst our full-time personnel, is we try to mandate that they go and PT at least an hour a day, or within a half an hour to an hour a day, whether that's working on cardio or weightlifting or whatever they want to do.
Really? And what about the equipment? What about the equipment? When is some piece of equipment deemed not usable? Where's the breaking point there?
Well, we do a annual pump test.
I see.
And during that test, we can actually track how that pump is doing. And over time, obviously, it's going to wear out. When it reaches a certain point, then we know that it's just due to be replaced.
When you guys put a fire truck, per se, in the firehouse, I mean, you don't just park that thing. It's really babied, and everything is checked out for any possible negatives, right?
Yes, we do truck checks every day.
Now, explain what you look for.
So we look for loose bolts. We make sure all the fluids are up to par. We make sure all the equipment runs and is ready for operation.
There can't be any mistakes.
Correct.
Absolutely. And so in the dead of winter, if it's 20 below zero, that fire truck's going to start and it's going to leave that station.
Correct.
With full water and ready to fight a fire.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, I know Jake with all the rigorous training and everything, and now he's driving one of those big trucks right now. It takes a lot of training and it takes a lot of dedicated manpower. Have you ever thought about going to a larger fire department, or do you like staying right here in Magic Valley?
I like it here, for me personally. The possibility in the future, who knows? But for now, I'm really happy with our district, and we have good leadership, we have good firefighters, and I'm really happy.
How many people are involved in the Rock Creek Rural Fire Department? How many people do you have?
I believe on the roster right now we've got 25.
25. Well, why don't you at this time give another plea to make sure that you guys get the money? I want to tell you something, folks. I live within their district, and I got to tell you that I think anybody with any common sense is going to vote yes on this levy for the Rock Creek Rural Fire Protection District. These people are absolutely essential, and they know what they're doing to help save your home, shop, whatever from a fire, and I absolutely implore you to go vote yes. Now it's your turn. Go ahead.
Okay. We would absolutely appreciate a vote of yes. This is going to help us to provide a 24/7 coverage of our district, including structure fire protection, wildland fire protection, vehicle extrication, hazmat. We even have a technical rescue team, and we also cover emergency medical.
You have to know what to do at the drop of a hat, don't you?
Absolutely.
You mentioned like extracting people from vehicles that maybe have rolled over or whatever. I mean, you can't make any sit back and think about it hunches, can you?
No, everything's got to be done pretty much immediately.
I want to thank you for coming by. Is there anything you'd like to elaborate on in regards to voting yes for this on November 8th?
I think just to reiterate what we've already discussed, it's cheap insurance. Everybody at some point is going to have to call 911 in their lifetime, so hopefully this will allow us to get to your home much quicker and much more professionally and efficiently.
Jason, is it listed on the ballot in simplistic terms so people are not going to get confused by it?
I personally haven't seen the verbiage, so I can't answer that for sure.
Okay, well, I hope so. I mean, all the theretofores and the heretofores, leave that garbage alone and just make it simple, right?
Sure.
Okay, well, I hope and I urge everybody to vote yes within the Rock Creek Rural Fire Protection District because these folks do a phenomenal job. Thanks for coming out on the program this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, anytime. And if there's any other issues, be sure and call me. We'll get you on the air.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Captain Jason Freeman, correct?
Correct.
From the Rock Creek Rural Fire Protection District. And vote yes on November 8th. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Right now we're going to get ready for a weather forecast. And Jason, if you can see yourself out, I can't see you to the door. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And the weather brought to you this hour by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Don't forget your locally owned custom meat processor for over 20 years. Don Scarrow and the crew, they are great at Scarrows Meats. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Clouds are going to be sticking around, but it is going to be getting warmer, which will be nice. Looks like cloudy skies for today. Slight chance of rain showers off and on. Expect a high of 62, tonight low of 41. For Wednesday and Thursday, partly cloudy skies, warming up to about 70, which is going to be really nice. Lows are going to be in the mid-40s for Friday. Rain showers are in the forecast. About a 70% chance. Wind's going to be picking up for Friday as well. High of 59 with an overnight low of 42. Then as we get on into the weekend, looks like sunny and mid-60s. That is your weather for Zeb at the Range.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Gina. Brought to you by Don Scarrow and the whole crew over at Scarrow's Meats. Boy, I tell you what, I love their bratwurst over there. Man, it's delicious. 331 North Road, Jerome. Scarrow's Meats, changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. You call them at 324-7657. Absolutely delicious. Now, I got to go back just a moment about what Jason Freeman, the captain of the Rock Creek Rural Fire Department, was saying. I absolutely urge you. I see no reason in the world why you wouldn't want to vote yes for this, because they're helping protect you and your property. And they are doing a wonderful job. Like I mentioned, have seen them in action, unfortunately, at my neighbor's not too long ago. And boy, they are good. And I support them any way I can. Okay, we got some time for some phone calls, so give me a jingle on the landline, and I'd love to hear from you about all aspects of what we talked about here this morning. Want to remind you again, Steve Hartkin running for your vote for State Representative District 24B. He is a very strong Republican incumbent for re-election on November 8th, and he wants your vote. Absolutely believes in the Second Amendment right to own firearms and supports all the water rights for the state of Idaho and, of course, multiple use of public lands. This man is a good man to have in office in the State House. Steve Hartkin for State Representative District 24B. Vote for Steve Hartkin on November 8th. Paid for by the Steve Hartkin Campaign Committee. All right, your calls. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Again, I want to reiterate that on Thursday morning, we are going to pack up all this Well, not all of this mess, because I couldn't possibly pack it all up. But we're going to take the necessities over to the Senior Junction at 2421 Overland in Burley, and we're going to be broadcasting live and direct from the Senior Junction for the Great Big Pumpkin Function. And I urge you to be there. We're going to broadcast from 8 to 11. And I really want you to come down and enjoy the big breakfast that's going to start at 7 o'clock in the morning and go till 10. And we're going to have pumpkin contests. We got a lot of neat prizes. I mean, prizes like overnight stay at our friends down at Cactus Pete's in Jackpot, Nevada, including dinner for two. I mean, man, it's a neat deal. We got a lot of great prizes. And they're going to be selling Crete candy for Halloween. They've got T-shirts commemorating the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function for only $12. And all of this is going to have the net proceeds going to support the Meals on Wheels. I cannot tell you, I've been an advocate for many, many years of the Meals on Wheels program, and I'm going to stay an advocate. I want to make sure that our seniors that are shut-ins receive that absolute necessary meal and the human touch at least once a day. It brings tears to my eyes, and pardon me for getting emotional, but I do not want to see our seniors suffer. Please support this event and the proceeds, net proceeds, going to the Meals on Wheels. Okay? Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my goodness sakes, they are the best. They've got a huge fall tire sale going on right now, and many, many, many tires are on sale for your pickups, cars, SUVs, like the Open Country MT for your pickups and SUVs. Outstanding traction, aggressive tread. Oh, my, get you through the snow, the muck, and the mud. Absolutely. You stop in and check it out today, along with the best in brake service, professionally trained technicians, premium quality parts, the brake industry's best warranty at all 7 locations. And don't forget the front end alignments and the shocks and the struts and the batteries. Oh yeah, get ready for old man winter. You stop in today and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Nobody better, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow, we got a big program tomorrow, too. Dave Bigo is going to be on from Indianapolis, Indiana. Senator Lee Hyder, Senator Jim Patrick, and many, many more. Don't miss it tomorrow morning at 8:06. We'll ride the horse for 3 hours right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and streaming live all over the universe on ZebBell.com. And until tomorrow, the way things were, the way things ought to be. God bless you and your family. Here's a good word for Senator Mike Crapo, and then Wheels will take us up to news from CBS. Adios. God bless.